Guys, Jeremy here with Indoor Air Solutions. I want to run through the last video of the installment for this summer about taking a boot or vent, attaching flexible ductwork to it, running that flexible ductwork through a portion of a crawl space or attic or chase, and actually tying that into the ductwork. It should be the last series. This should be the last video in the series that will allow you to actually complete this project. First, before we get started, I want to stress safety. Again, you're going to be working in the nether regions of your home, an attic, crawl space, chase. You're going to want to consider wearing eye protection, consider wearing a respirator. Gloves are essential. Let's go over a few tools that you're going to potentially need and will absolutely need. May need a drill with a 1/4-inch chuck on it. You will definitely need razor knife, wire cutters, tape. Other things that you potentially will need: nylon strapping or webbing to hang up your flex as it traverses your crawl space or attic or wherever it's going to be. You may also need nylon bands, or essentially large zip ties with that zip line crimper tool and the thing that actually cuts those off. In some cities, in some states, some municipalities, there are codes and ordinances that actually require you not just to tape your takeoffs on, but they actually require you to use a large zip tie to go around that takeoff and adhere your or seal your takeoff to your flex, or vice versa. Anyways, we'll go over our scenario and start getting to work. All right, so flex duct, go over the anatomy of it real quick so we understand what we're dealing with. This duct here, this is our inner liner of our flexible ductwork. It's old, so it's got some old tape on it, so just bear with me. Foil jacket on the outside, silver liner. Inside, of course, pink ductwork. Let's look at some numbers here just to refresh ourselves so we know what we're talking about. There's a couple numbers here. That first number that's on top, it's going to be an 8 with those dashes, so it's 8-inch flex that we're dealing with. The numbers below that say it's backwards on you, but it says R-8.0, and this is the resistance level. So again, this is code specific, but in a lot of municipalities, a lot of places, depending on climate, these codes, these ordinances, they will require you to use specific R value or R ratings, resistance ratings to heat for this insulation. So try to adhere to these codes when at all possible. So here's our scenario. Our flex is stubbed up into the floor, attached to a vent. Okay, the rest of our flex is hanging down, and we've got to cut off a portion of it so that our flex actually is sized properly to tie in to our takeoff. So how do we know how to size it? 2 rules of thumb when you're trying to size or cut off lengths of flexible ductwork to tie into. First thing you want to consider is that you don't want it to be too tight. The reason why you don't want it to be too tight is that you need, and I'm going to turn this sideways so you can see it, you need your flex to, that silver liner, you need it to butt up along with that inner insulation to butt up to this metal exterior of your ductwork. Essentially what I'm saying is you don't need a gap in between your foil jacket and your insulation and that ductwork. That's sweating all day, okay? And that water that's going to condensate and build up is going to ruin a lot of stuff, especially if it's in an attic. That stuff could drip down and run your sheetrock, lose all our value of the insulation because it decreases the amount of material that you're used to use as insulation. Okay, so we've got to cut it off. Now, rules of thumb, I think I just went over one, but one is you don't want it too tight because you got to pull it up. The second one is you don't want it too loose. If it's too loose, you're going to have dips and bows in your ductwork. And what that's doing is lowering or reducing and creating inefficiency within the system. Air needs to flow as straight as possible without catching resistance anywhere. And those dips and bows, that's what that is. That's resistance across the system. So not loose enough, or don't be too loose, don't be too tight. It's like the Goldilocks zone of tying in ductwork. So once you reach that point, you figure out where a good place is to cut the ductwork or the flexible duct off. You're going to take a razor knife and you're going to cut your foil jacket. Okay? And you'll cut it all the way around. Make sure your blade's sharp. I promise it'll prevent a lot of frustration. especially if you're in an attic and it's 100 degrees. You want to make sure that this is done pretty quickly. So you've cut that full jacket all the way around. You can essentially take and grab that full jacket in the inside insulation and pull it apart, and it'll rip. So now you just want to take your time and finish trimming off that inside part of that insulation. Be sure not to uncoil the inner liner here, and it will have a propensity to want to uncoil relatively easily. So with a little bit of patience, you should be able to get that all the way off. And that's what I've done. I have these two complete segments held together by that coil. So I'll lower us here so we can see. Okay, now I'm going to take wire cutters. And don't use regular tin snips, because the metals that are made of these different materials, they will dent your tin snips. A good pair of wire cutters cuts right through it. Okay? And then it comes apart like so. Now we're left with a perfectly sized piece of ductwork, or piece of flex that will tie in. Okay? I'll raise this back up so we can finish here. Alright, so we've got our ductwork cut to size, cut to length, and we've got to tie it in. So we're going to take our inner liner first. It's a good chance also to check your damper nut to make sure it's tight. This handle here, bend it up a little bit, get it out of your way, because you're going to be putting tape right there where that's at. You can see it sticking up there a little bit. I don't want to move the camera too much. I'll try to move it like that. You can see that where I bent the handle of the damper up a little bit. Take you some tape. Take you some more tape. Run your strip out. Okay? And run you a good round around that. Okay? This is that, again, like I said before, some municipalities, some ordinances, some cities, some states require you to use the nylon large, essentially zip tie to wrap around these things. So you may want to consider investing in one of those tools. Okay. 2 rounds around that. Make sure your taping doesn't interfere with that handle up until this point. Okay? Handle's still out of the way. I haven't taped it or anything like that. Okay? So that's taped on. Smush out air bubbles. Make sure your tape is adhered properly. Last thing, together, don't pull up the foil jacket itself. Pull up the insulation and foil jacket and go up over that handle. Use your hands to create distance so that handle doesn't grab the insulation and pull it away. Once you're up and over the handle, you can essentially smush the foil jacket down over it and stub the handle through. Okay? And you'll notice that I've butted my insulation and foil jacket with a little bit of that pink showing through all the way up. And make sure it's all the way up. You don't want to, if you don't do this, it will create condensation sweat. Okay? Now, your tape here, take your time with this part. Use very small controlled port segments of tape. Don't run out like a 3-foot piece of tape, because you're not going to be able to control it. It's just going to result in frustration. Okay? Now, with your tape, go over your foil jacket and about 50-50. 50% foil jacket, 50% on the ductwork. Okay? And you're going to go all the way around this thing. It should take anywhere from, if you do it well, it'll take anywhere from 5 to 6 pieces of tape. Okay? This is another point in time when, based on city, state, county ordinances, when they may actually require you to put that band over that flex and catch that takeoff so that you have that nylon band securing it too. Alright, so last thing that I do, and I've seen it done a lot of ways. I think this looks really clean. It gives you access to the handle still. is take you a small piece of tape. Okay, and take you a small piece of tape, and with that handle sticking up, work that tape over that handle until it pushes through, like so. Okay, now with that handle pushing through, you're going to want to bend it over. Okay, handle pushing through, bend it down and over where it was previously at. Okay, that just allows you to have access to that handle. I think it looks a lot neater. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So just to rehash what we've done, vent boot up top here dangling down, we've essentially tied that whole system together. Main trunk line with air flowing through it, air hits takeoff damper, shoots through your flexible duct, through your boot or vent up into the conditioned airspace that you desire. Anyways, that's the last video, guys, for this segment. We're going to produce some more here pretty soon. Thanks for watching. If you have any comments, concerns, questions, or videos that you would like to see, please leave them in the comments below. We appreciate it, guys. For more information, tips, and tricks, you can visit our website, www.indoorairsolutionsga.com. Thanks again.